Hey guys, welcome back to the MX-5 5-cylinder build. Today we're installing an ECUmaster advanced display unit. It's a digital dash that actually works with CAN bus with my ECU. I'm already running the ECUmaster EMU Black ECU in this car, which works pretty much perfectly, and I really like the brand and the stuff that they make. It's really quality stuff. I've actually collaborated with ECUmaster Benelux to get an ADU into my MX-5. I've designed a really cool mount for this to actually go into the MX-5 that I'll be giving to you guys for free. So you can install an ADU in yours if you want to with a similar setup. And I'll show you how I wired mine in this video. And we'll also see how it works and how to set it up and even make the custom pages in the software. So this is the current dash setup. It's basically the original cluster. I do have these two OLED screens, which I've made in the past. I think they've been in the car for, I'd say, 2 or 3 years now. One of them has gone a bit dim, but that's okay. One of the downsides to the stock cluster is that the speedo is actually done with a cable going to the original gearbox. But if you remember, I'm running a BMW gearbox, so I'm not able to get the speed signal, like it's a rotating cable, back to the cluster, so that won't work right now. And I did think of some ways to actually jerry-rig this with an NB cluster. I wanted to go with more digital, and for that reason I'm going to a digital dash. I've actually 3D printed a mock-up of the part that should be here. We're going to take out this dash and the original cluster, and we're going to try and test fit the printed part with the ADU from ECUmaster. Hey! Ooh. This always seems like all of the clips are gonna break off, but they're all still here. And then to take it out, there's two big plugs on the back and the speedo cable, which is already uninstalled. All my lights. So that's the cluster out. Time to test fit the 3D printed one and push all of this stuff back and see what it does. So let's try to fit this and pretty much get all of the screws in. That's all of these screws in, basically the 4 stock ones, and put it on like this. So there it is. It's in actually. It's pretty good. I'm really happy with how that fit up. Let's see how it is with the steering wheel in actually. This is hard to do with one hand, but basically there it is. So I took out the connectors for the 2 screens that I have. I also put the dash in and marked up where I need to cut, because this is where the connector for the ADU goes. And then we have to deal with these connectors, which are to the stock cluster, and I have to rob the left, right turn signals, the hazards, the high beams, and I think one more thing, not sure, maybe power as well. So the cluster is really easy to wire up. It's basically power, ground, and CAN high and CAN low to your ECU, in this case the ECUmaster EMU Black, but it also supports a bunch of other ECUs, a lot of non-ECUmaster products as well, and also some stock cars, like I think the RX-8 is supported, which is really cool because those cars have CAN bus already in them. So I just took the angle grinder and took out this small portion of the dash, and it cuts pretty good. There it goes. So that's cut out. Let's mount the whole thing together and figure out my wiring right here. So I'm gonna see which ones I need. So we're currently in the home workshop. Basically this is the old cluster that you saw me take out. I made a dummy basically, which is just a 3D printed prototype. As you can see, there have been multiple versions. I made one more final revision, which is this one, which we're going to put the ADU in right now. It has the same style, but it has more lights, because to get the car legal I need to have stuff like the running lights and high beams and stuff like that, and a little bit of luxury like the heated window being on. And to connect all of those extra features, I'm using DTM connectors, which are just small, in this case 12 pin connectors. We're going to be putting in this ADU 7, which is a 7-inch display by ECUMaster, and one of the most insane things about this piece of equipment is just the startup time. I've got a little setup here for it, and the light will go green and then you'll see it turn on, which is just like, that was already it, like so fast. So we're gonna put the ADU 7 in the housing. I will be offering this housing for free. The download will be in the description. You can download it from there, and I'll put some links to the lights and the switches that you need extra. You could also delete that from the model, but the actual hole dimensions are for the NA MX-5, and they should fit on your car just like the original cluster. This is what it looks like from the back. I did put some tape for the air gap. There's like slightly opened, so I don't get any light protruding in the gap. But it basically has two lights that also function as buttons. These are green buttons. Like they have an arrow in there on both sides. And those also function as a button. So the light is going to be for the blinker, which I need to make it basically legal. And then I'm gonna have the button to also scroll through the menu. You can have multiple pages on this, so this serves a second purpose. Then all of the lights, there's a heated rear window, normal running lights, high beams, and then hazards, and also the parking brake one. And I have a potentiometer which I will wire into the ADU. That basically goes from 0 to 5 volts, so I can set up stuff like, in this case, launch control. I might actually put the launch control RPM or the ignition cut or whatever on there, and that makes it so I can adjust it whilst I'm stationary, just in the cluster. I'll have a pop-up on the screen as well, going through the different modes, and you'll see that later. But now it's time to actually wire these in. As I've said, I'm using DTM connectors, which are small, in this case 12 and 6 pin. Largest that they have is 12, so I also got a 6 one because I don't have enough pins. I have a, it's on the screen right now, my diagram, which basically has all of the pins going to the second connector. So on the car there will be basically this one sticking out for the ADU, which just has power, ground, switch power, and the CAN signals going to the cluster, so it turns on and gives me all of the CAN data. And then I have these two switch inputs, which are going to, I think, analog ones, and the potentiometer going in there as well, going to a 0 to 5 volt input. And I think that's basically it. I've got pins left over, so if I ever want to change them around, I can basically do that on the fly and make it pretty cool, yeah. So for the ECUMaster ADU, you only need 12 volt, ground, and switch 12 volt. And to communicate to the ECU, you only need CAN high and CAN low, which is just two twisted wires. I'll be showing you that later. But for now, I'm also going to wire in some of the original functions to get the a light for the high beams, low beams, and the left and right blinkers, which actually come from these original pins. So just to make sure, I'm going to now use my multimeter to check all of the pins if I did them correctly. So basically for the left blinker, I'd put this down and then measure the voltage of one of the pins and the ground. So that should be able to get me 12 volts and confirm that my wiring is correct. Main reason for actually getting the separate lights is because I have some dead space on the side in the cluster, and using the original lights would be really easy with this connector. Okay, so for instance, I have my diagram right here. I have the black pin connected to ground and the red pin to this pin, which is to the 5th pin from the left, which is the high beam light. And you can see 0 volts, and then when I actually actuate the high beams, you can see it jumps up. Yeah, my battery voltage is kind of low, so ignore that it's not 12 volts, but there we go. So that works. Same with I just confirmed the blinkers as well. So now I'm off to actually connect see if the brake lights work and see if I can find one that works with the hazards. I think the hazards might actually be switched inside of the cluster itself, so I have to figure something out for that. But yeah, that works, so we can wire that up. So this is the testing setup I currently have set up. It's basically the ADU that's being powered by internal battery in this case, which is 12 volts. And then I'm using the same switch block. And the CAN bus is actually wired up in the back here. It's the yellow and green cable that you see right here, going to the ECUMaster USB to CAN, which basically lets your computer connect through CAN bus. CAN bus systems have to be terminated on each end. Basically you have a beginning and an end, and then you can add nodes onto that from left to right. In this case we just have a terminated one right here. It has a termination switch on there, and it's terminated to 120 ohms. That's the normal one for CAN bus. Same on the other side. Basically you can see there it is. It's inside of a bit of heat shrink. It's a 120 ohm resistor that's actually mounted on the end of my cable. And I have my interconnector, which will go to parts, will go to the chassis, and that makes it so I can unplug this all very easily together with the connector for the ADU itself. So I have my ECUMaster software opened. It's specifically for the ADU, the client, and just connected it using the USB cable from my USB to CAN to my PC. And I can see I just gave it a name, just called it Yatajoris MXT5, and now I'm going to upgrade it, I think, because it's asking me that, and might just as well. Converted successfully. Okay. Oh, it's updating. There we go. It also just restarted, just went black and back again. And in theory, I should be able to just pick up something like this gauge and see it move in real time, which is really cool. But I did prepare a preset for me, so I'm going to upload this. Yeah, Joris basically. Of course, send it. There we go, with blue. That's cool. Oh, that's very cool actually. I also have, you'll see this later, but I have 2 indicator lights. The lights will be switched not through the ADU, but through the wiring of the car, which is basically an arrow light, but it doubles as a button. And that is connected to the ADU, so I will be using my left and right indicator lights basically also as buttons, and they will be for the left and the right page buttons, because this can have multiple different pages. I think I can actually double click it. Oh, there it goes. So this is one of the presets by ECUMaster. It's prepared for rally, and they also have, oh, I made this. Oh yeah, this is the one I made. So I have like coolant temp and lambda target, which you should see those move once it's actually connected to the car. And yeah, really cool. I'm going to play with this a bunch, get all of my stuff ready, and actually see if I can get my buttons working. Should be able to do that right now. Okay, it took a slight bit of trial and error, but basically what I had to do is add a button right there, then call it whatever I wanted, and then assign it in the configurations tab to the next page. So basically I now have a next page and a previous page, that's just so cool. I played with it quite a bunch now, and next up is actually wiring it into the car, hooking up the CAN bus and hooking up the power, and hooking up all of my other leads that go to lights that aren't to the ADU, and you'll see that right now. We're back in the workshop working on installing this ADU into the car. All this display needs is ground, a constant 12 volt and a switch 12 volt, and that's to turn it on, just like you saw in my test setup. And for all of the data, it's going to use a CAN bus, which is basically 2 wires, a CAN high and a CAN low. And that's going to communicate with my ECU. I have made an interconnector, which is basically 2 of them. It's 2 Deutsch DTM connectors. They're small connectors. These are really easy to make, and I have a bunch of wires coming from that, and this all goes to the stock wiring harness. This is for the high beams, the lights, the heated window, the blinkers and the stuff like that. So I'm going to wire in the ADU and get it working, and I'll show you guys how I set it up with the CAN bus and all of my lights. At the same time, Thijs is also working in the shop today. He's going to be installing some of the plastics that we took off. He's also going to take out the clutch pedal because we had some issues with the travel. The ratio might be off, so we're trying something new out. I'll show that later as well. But now we're going to get this ADU mounted, and you'll see that right now. So at the same time, Thijs is drilling the pedal, the clutch pedal, which houses this bushing and pushes onto the rod right here, on the rod, this one. And what actually, I actually changed this. In the previous video you saw, because I have the BMW gearbox, I need a bigger diameter bore master, so I went to this master which matches the bore of the BMW, like what it would be in the BMW. This is actually out of our Land Rover because it was easy to mount to the car like this, and has the reservoir and the easy peasy. But what actually ends up happening is that the pedal, the position at which it rotates around, the rotating length basically, is likely shorter on the MX-5 than on the BMW. So what we're doing is moving the rotational point, basically, there we go, moving it down. So the distance from the pedal moves further away. So for each pedal stroke, like pressing it, it moves a greater length, and hopefully we can get better engagement and disengagement of the clutch, because currently we're at basically the maximum of adjustment on both sides of the like the little rod and everything. So Thijs is going to finish that up, and meanwhile I've started to wire the ADU in. I taped up my interconnectors. I want them to be about at this length when it's disconnected, so I can take it in and out easily. And I'm splicing into the original wiring looms right there, and also a ground extra right there, and going to continue in that now. So I have all the wiring hooked up. I cut apart the original 2 connectors, and they're just for now temporarily to the side. And I've put all of the heat shrink over, but not crimped yet, because I want to make sure it all works. And the only thing I haven't hooked up yet is the CAN bus. I need to do some switching around of the CAN speeds to get that working, but should be fine for now. So if I plug these in, that's 1, that's 2. That should be enough to make it turn on at least. So put it there temporarily. Put all of this stuff kind of in place. And turn on the power. I forgot, I put the picture of my cat there. oh, and the fuel level is actually already measuring at least something. And I have my buttons. So this works, and I should be able to now also use my left blinker. Oh my god, it works, let's go. And my right blinker, which works. And if I have the lights on, that works. And should be able to dim it. Yeah, that's pretty good. So dimming it, and then the high beams, which also work. That's sick. And then these I haven't done yet, so I'll check those later. But this works, and I'm really happy with that. So I'm going to actually take it back out and get all of my heat shrink done so that it doesn't short anywhere. But this is kind of amazing. I'm happy that it all works. And this is really easy to take out. Just have to neaten up the wiring a bit and should be all good. So that's all of the connectors now neatly tucked up, and I'll get the cluster on, which is right there, and screw it down with the 4 screws. So that's the ADU in. I still have very good visibility. I don't have the steering wheel right now here, but that's all of the stuff. And I can get to the pot meter and everything works. So if I turn it on, picture of the cat, and then I can scroll through the different pages, which I still have to set up. And this is the one with the pot meter test. It goes up and down, which is perfect. And then the lights, which actually flicker on camera, I can see, but in real life that's just constant. The high beams, and the left blinker and the right blinker, and these are currently not set up yet, so I'll do that some other day. I'm not sure how to switch those yet, but we'll figure that out. Next thing to connect is actually the CAN bus to the ECU. The ADU has a fixed speed of 1 megabit per second. The ECU, I have to put it to that speed as well to match it and have both. This one has the terminator resistor on the end, and put that in the ECU as well, and then we should have a working CAN display, and we should have all of these values for all of the setup basically. It's a new day. At home I actually updated all of the software, so I got some cool stuff figured out, and I've brought out the wiring supplies, and I've wired it in to the ECU. When I wired in this ECU, I actually put a 2-pin super seal connector with the CAN high and the CAN low, so it was really easy to set up. It was just 2 wires going to my super seal. And now I'm back in the car. In the software, I'm actually going to set my CAN bus speed to 1 Mbps, which is 1 megabyte per second. And in theory, that should work with the car. So I turn this on. Oh my god. So that's it. I turned it to 1 megabyte per second, and immediately I already got the display up, and it's got my new program on there. Actually have a few cool setups, but I want to show you again the startup screen, because it's something special. There you go. Should be a little larger. I can change the text over actually. Let me open up the software. So this is the software again. Go to configuration, and then here is the image that I set up for the startup screen. You can also turn this off if you want, but you can make it something cool. So I put it at 120% first, because it's quite a small image, and make that permanent. But now I've put it at 150. So when I turn it back on, it should be a bit bigger. Yeah, perfect. So now that's back on, and I'll actually show you the cool stuff that I made. I made some pages, and I put in the logo and a bunch of digital gauges. This ADU layout will actually be in the download down below, so you can have the same setup. And I made this really cool thing. It's the MX-5 dashboard, but then entirely digital. And this is a rally preset, and one with the gyro. That's also a preset. And I made this, which is the holy grail of diagnostics. So I basically have, if I get my pedal, at the top left you can actually see pedal position, the voltages, and the TPS sensor. which is just insane. I can diagnose everything here. I think I put about everything that I can think of. It even has like runtime and stuff on there, so I could diagnose this car if there's ever any problem. And that's about all of the main things I have. So I should be able to set the odometer now, so I'm gonna figure that out. Should be somewhere in the settings. So I've sat down and I've actually looked up how to set my odometer, because it's currently in there but it's not set up. So I'm going to tools, then set meters, and set the odometer, and I think that it's actually gone red. I've played with the settings quite a bit more. I actually got my odometer to work. It ended up that I had to re-put the volume in, but after setting it in the software, that actually showed up. And I also rescaled some of the gauges, because some of them, like my fuel pressure, were at maximum 45 bar, which I'm never going to get close to, hopefully. So I rescaled that, so there's now at 6 bar max. I'll never go there either, but now the scale's kind of on. Also redid the fuel level. I need to set up the actual sensor though, because I need to calibrate that with the pull-up resistor I have in there. I also have my other values going, and I actually figured out how to fix these. There's the odometer once again, and I should also be able to put a trip meter there, so I'm gonna try to figure that out on my own. One more here. I actually had there's a tilt feature. There's a built-in, oh, you can kind of tell, you can see the left and right of the car, seeing it max out here, and when I jiggle the car, it actually picks it up already. That's like a gyroscope in the ADU, which I actually didn't know it had. The next step is of course to actually test this out with the car running and driving, but that'll be in the next video, because we have a few tiny more things to finish. One of the major things is the gearbox has to come off again, and we're gonna have to weld the inside of the bell housing, which is something I've been putting off, but it's time to do that. So here's the ECUMaster display one more time. Thank you once again to ECUMaster Benelux for collaborating with me on this. In the next video we'll weld the gearbox, get a drive shaft fixed, and tune the car. And you'll see this dash actually work whilst driving the car. Cheers!